Hello, my name is Jon Witt, and this is a fundamental class in building more skills in positions like a handstand. So it used to be a handstand class, which is a greater part of the focus of today's class, but I'm also focusing more on the lower body as well, as far as being able to get up and down from the floor. I think is really a very important thing to develop if you haven't developed that. And if you're, struggling with it, this class will help you in developing those skills so that you can, again, be healthy in both the lower and the upper body. So if the class has been helping you, I'm glad that it has. I enjoy teaching this class. I think it's kind of like the next stage for a lot of people that I know in terms of their own practice. So it's kind of like, well, where do I go physically with my practice? This is, in my opinion, basic and relatively easy to do, and it's just, there's work to it, but you can certainly develop a skill like a handstand. A handstand's something that I think more and more people, it's more of a mental block than anything physical. And of course, there's some physical things that you may have to do a little bit differently. And if that was ever the case, you could, send me a video of you doing your handstand, and it's very easy to correct. And it could be anyone really, but I've been teaching handstands for many, many, many years. So if you'd like my help, I'm always available. So how I'm going to start the class is I'm just going to be standing. My feet are going to be a little bit wider than my shoulders, and I'm just going to be moving my pelvis side to side. So then as I'm twisting my body, twisting the pelvis, but then it should have a wave effect into the upper body. So if you want to include the arms, you can move the arms as I am, just so that your shoulders are relaxed, your arms are relaxed, your pelvis is moving, again, the torso and the spine. And if you're a little bit more apprehensive, you could do it really slow. You don't have to move at my speed. And then as you get the hang of it, it can be faster. I'm not going to do that. I'm just a real gentle warm up. But as you're moving your pelvis, you can think of moving the tailbone down a bit so that you're a little bit more grounded in your feet and your legs. So just about 30 more seconds. Head could stay in the middle, head could turn. Just a few more. And then you're back in the middle. So I'm going to be in a side view just so that you can see this a little bit better, is that my tailbone's moving down. So you should feel your glutes engage, you should feel your pubic bone lift. And then I'm going to relax that, and then I'm bringing it down, then I'm sticking it out, bringing it down, bringing it out, anterior tilt, posterior tilt, anterior tilt, posterior tilt. You may want to just stay in one or the other. Posterior tilt is for the handstand, so you'll feel your hamstrings engage. This is the line that you want to keep when you're using a wall or freestanding in handstands. So I'm just going to relax that. So I'm going to step forward and I'm going to do a bit of lunging. So when I'm in the lunge, try to keep the posterior tilt in the pelvis. So I'm just going to step back and my left foot is back. My arms are overhead. And just for a few breaths, try to get the shoulders up towards the ears. Right? Really reach up through the arms. And then just have the right leg straight, but try to, again, get the tailbone to move more underneath you. And I'm using my hand. You could use your hand as well. But as I'm lifting through the pubis, just more of a reminder. And then I'm taking the arms down. I'm going to step the left foot forward. I'm going to step my right foot back. And then as I'm here, I can again get into the posterior tilt. Arms are up overhead. I'm going to be lunging in a deeper lunge, but I want to give everybody something to use. So maybe this is the position that, you can't bend beyond 90. You could work with this. Again, I'm just going to have the legs straight, but again, I'm really working the tailbone down, and you should feel a much greater stretch in the right hip. you know, whichever is the back leg, that's the primary focus in a position like this. And then I'm going to take the arms down and step the right foot forward. So again, that's the range that you could use, but I'm going to go beyond that. And I'm going to have the heel elevated, so it makes it a little bit more physical in terms of strength, but it doesn't require as much flexibility in the ankle. So it's good, and you can try it, and maybe it's a partial range of motion as opposed to a full range of motion. So same thing as I'm stepping my left foot back, and I'm bringing my tailbone down. I'm going to elevate my right heel. I'm going to have my arms down just to focus more on just the motion of the leg. So I'm going forward, right, into a lunge. I'm not going as far as I can go, just as an example, and then I'm coming up. And then I'm bending the knee. So that's what I would use, is just kind of find the range that's healthy for you. And then over time, right, you could sit lower, right? Then my right leg is straight, my right leg is bent, right? I'm elevating the heel, bringing the tailbone down. I'm coming back up. I'm going back down. And each time I'm sitting a little bit deeper if I can. I'm coming back up, and then last time I'm going to come forward. So elevate the heel. Like I said, you want to be more physical today. You can have your arms overhead. One more breath here. And then I'm having my right leg straight, and I'm bringing my arms out. I'm going to set my left foot forward and my right foot back. I'm on a bit of a diagonal, so it's going to create more width in the hips. My tailbone's down. My heel is elevated, so it's up, and I'm moving my hamstring towards my calf muscle. And like I said, it's easier to do when the heel is up, but again, it's more physical. So my left leg is straight. I'm coming forward, I'm coming down, and maybe going further, and you'll immediately see that one side's easier than the other. You know, if you haven't explored this range of motion yet. Again, try to lift through the pubis, try to drop through the tail, bring your leg straight, and then last time you can go back down. Again, you can take the arms up. So my heel is elevated, pushing through the toes. It's a bit like a calf raise, right? And then the left leg will be straight and the arms down. I'm going to step the right foot forward. So I'm going to come into a bit of a horse stance and just more first stretching up the hips before I come into a squat. So my feet are turned out, my knees are moving in the same direction as my toes, and I'm just moving the weight around just to again explore more range within my hips. Same thing as I prefer a posterior tilt, so I'm moving the tailbone down just so that I'm focusing more on the opening of my pelvis. All right, I can sit lower for a bit. I could come up, my arms could be wide. Really depends on how you want to do the position. So then the legs are straight. I'm going to turn the feet in. I'm going to come into a standing forward bend, right? Just to stretch out the backs of the legs. So when I'm coming forward, I'm in this halfway position. My weight's in my heels or in the front of my feet. I'm lifting through my upper back, you know. Something like this, it's viewed as easier, but it's quite specific in stretching the legs out. And it's good to just keep the extension in your back, just as a general warm-up, right? But I'm going to bring the hands down, and then as I bring the hands down, I'm going to separate my feet a little bit wider than my shoulders. I'm going to grab my elbows, I'm going to bend my knees, and then I'm sitting into, you know, just a low-level squat, right? And in a low-level squat, I'm moving more up with the pubic bone, more down with the tail for some, and then for some it could be more pubic bone forward. Really depends. Like sometimes I'm passively hanging here, which is good, but with back pain you might want the heels up and extending from your lower back, right? But I'm going to bring my left hand beside me and I'm in a seated position. So my right leg is just sitting on the inside of my left foot. I'm going to push through my left hand and come back up into the squat. I'm going to reach back with my right hand and sit down so that my left knee sits on the inside of my right foot. So I'm pushing through the right hand. It's just a different, like I've mentioned before, it's good to be able to squat. It's even better if you can move from the position. So my left hand is down. I'm sitting back down. I could sit upright. If you need more lower body focus, you could sit in these positions longer, right? I'm going to push through the left hand, bringing myself back up into the squat, and then bringing my right hand down and then sitting down, right, into an upright position. And pushing through my right hand, coming back up, going into the left last time, sitting back down into the 90-90 or shin box, right? So I'm lifting up. Feet could be forward, feet could be out, heels could be up, all correct. Okay? Bring the right hand behind you, sit down. Left knee sits on the inside of the right foot. And then you can take the knees up. So I'm going to do a little bit of core conditioning, more of a body line drill, and then we'll get into like more handstands, right? So I'm going to come down onto my back. So rolling down. I could have a block, right? You don't have a block, you could just hook your thumbs overhead. So I'm just in this overhead position where I'm squeezing in and my lower back is on the floor. So I'm trying to keep the ribs in the whole time for this. So just bring the right leg forward in space. This is much easier than what I'll do next, but you could just start with these. My head is down on the floor. My left leg is stretching forward. So the exercise is just to keep your lower back from lifting and then bringing it up. So if you want to, I'm going to do repetitions. I'm going to straighten the legs forward. But again, you can always repeat single legs if you don't have the strength to do this. So my ribs are in, squeezing in the block. I'm taking the legs forward, a little bit off the floor, squeezing the knees into the chest, bringing them forward, bringing it back in, forward, back in, forward, pulling it in. So when you're in, it's more like a tucked handstand. It's a very good line to work on. Forward, back into the chest, forward and away, ribs in, back in, forward, back into the chest. Just two more. Forward, back into the chest. Last time, forward. Keep the ribs in. And then bringing the knees over the hips. You can bring the block forward. You can bring the block down. So just for a moment, lift up into a bridge. So lift the heels or lift the hips. You can lift the heels if you need to. Lift up through the upper back. Just for a few breaths, just to counter that. And then I'm bringing myself down, rolling down. And then as I'm coming down, I'm going to roll up and come into an all four position. So you can come onto your hands and knees, have the hands turned out, protract through the shoulders, and then relax the chest down in between the arms. Protract, and then retract. Protract. And that's what you're holding, right? It's really strong protraction of the shoulders is what you want to keep. So I'm going to do, last week I did quite a bit of scapular push-ups. I'm not going to do as many, but it's a great thing to really learn. And I'm going to do it on my hands. So come up on your hands, have your hands turned out. And then as your hands are turned out, protract the shoulders, make the front of your body smaller. You could just hold this too. I'm going to lower my chest, push straight back up, bring the shoulders past the line of the wrist, let the chest move down, bring it back up, straight arms, let it come down, back up, one more time back down, and then up, right? And then come down, and then when you come down, have your hands just again forward, but keep the weight forward and lift the heels of your hands off the floor. So lift and lower, lift it up, lower it down, lift it back up. Thumbs are off the floor, lift it back up, slowly down, up and down. If you're back here, it's not a bad thing. It's just you want to get more forward. You want the hands to get stronger, the forearms to get stronger. And then that'll help you in controlling, a free-handed handstand today. But we're going to do just a minute up against the wall, if we can. So if you can't do a full minute, say it's really short, 5-10 seconds, come down, take a break, but go back up. Keep repeating going up. And we're holding, right, and we're not trying to get the chest to the wall, even though it's called chest to the wall. I want to keep the chest away from the wall. It's just that we're facing the wall, right? So I'm going up, and then as I go up, right, I really want to keep the posterior tilt. I want to keep the protraction in my shoulders. And then as I keep those two things, a little bit easier to hold a position when you start to do free-handed handstands. It's going to be a lot easier to do. So I'm going up. Right? Hands are turned out. Ribs are in. Glutes are strong. And I'm pushing as much as I need to. So if you push really hard and you got really tired, I don't think that's a completely bad thing. What it means is that you're getting stronger. And then for those of you that say we wanted to do this more for repetition, you might not want to push a whole lot, right? Because you could burn your hands out, burn your arms out, and then you won't be able to do more sets, right? I'm just going to check out my clock. We're very close. So keep the ribs in. And then bring your hands forward, walk it forward. Right? And then coming down into a squat. So I've said this before, it's a lot of conditioning. Initially, it's a lot of conditioning. But as it gets easier, then it's more of working the skill of it, like getting your, getting the body line drill so that you're getting more into it becomes more efficient. When you see someone that can hold a handstand for a minute or longer, their line's pretty good. It's pretty clean. And it's not that they're, much stronger than you are. It's just that they've corrected the alignment of their shoulders and their hips. And it's just more of, having, the awareness to do that upside down. So I'm going to come back down where I'm on my hands and my knees. So I'm just in this kneeling position. And then as I'm kneeling here, I could be moving the weight around. This could be a simple position. So between sets, you could be very relaxed, right? I'm not going to do multiple sets like I do like in my own handstand practice, but I'm giving tips, and that's what you could do. Like you compile, the exercises that I'm using, but you divide them. You take time and you take breaks. So I'm shifting the weight into my right foot, and I'm bringing my left leg forward, and I'm moving the weight forward, like I'm dropping into the front of my foot. So it's helping with the back of your leg. I'm going to sit back into my foot again. I'm going to move the weight to my left foot so I can take my right leg forward. So if the weight is all the way on both feet, I won't be able to move my legs. So kind of like when we walk up the wall, you have to shift the weight around. So when you're doing more complex movements, this is what you're doing, is you're shifting the weight so that you can move around better, right? So like if my hands are completely in one position, like I'm really, really heavy in the hands, especially in one hand, that hand I will not be able to move. And you could just sit, right? So if this was really, really hard, right, you come out. but you keep going in and out of poses, and a soft, really cushy mat or grass is a smart thing to do these things on, so you don't have a lot of experience being on your knees like this. That's what I would use. You know, I wouldn't just crush myself and get myself through these things. But I'm going to come back where my toes are tucked, and I'm going to sit back into the squat. All right, so both will help one another. I'm going to move the weight forward where my knees are forward, and then I'm taking my feet back into the squat. Again, your heels might be up. You can still do the exercise. So I'm bringing my knees forward, and I can come into a crouch. But the more time you spend on these things, it certainly will get easier. You know, you got to obviously understand that you might not be able to do as long, right, of holds. So short holds can work really well. Again, I'm going to bring the weight forward. Knees are forward. And then I'm sitting back into a squat. So I'm going to come back into a forward bend, but this time I'm going to round my back, purposely rounding the spine. Just again, to give you a different look or to give you a different perspective. My hands are purposely off the floor. I'm rounding my back. Right? And then I'm going to roll myself up to standing. Back up into a standing position. So I'm going to bring, again, the tailbone down, the pubic bone up. I'm going to take the arms overhead. And then I'm just going to practice in being up on my toes so my heels are elevated. So if my heels are elevated, I'm just in the straight line. And then lowering the heels, and exhale, lowering the arms. All these things, like the basic things, will most certainly help with getting you up. So there's days that you just don't have the energy to really train hard. You can still focus on your balance, and that can help. And I'm going to do a stretch for your chest and your shoulders, and then we'll go back into another exercise for your handstand. So my hands, I'm going to be like in down dog at the wall, just because this wall, I don't have the room to the side. So you're basically just in this position, but you're using the weight to stretch out your chest. But think of being more hollowed, and then that'll help you. So I'm just back here, and then as I'm here, I'm moving my chest to the floor, but I'm also trying to keep the hollow position of the front of the body. I hope that makes sense. So I'm not, like a hollow body hold is really what you're trying to do here. And then you don't really need all of your weight to open your chest and your shoulders. So if you have a lot of flexibility, be minimal in your step back with your feet. If you don't have a lot of flexibility, you would think more leverage is better. It's not always the case. So just step back enough where you feel a pretty good stretch in the chest and the shoulders, and keep getting your glutes to engage so that you feel support in opening up the chest and opening up the shoulders. And then I'm going to step forward, and then I'm just out of that. But if you have some experience kicking up, because maybe you've been taking this class for a while, I'm going to do it in the middle of the room. I'm going to do it here, without the wall, but certainly use the wall if you're not experienced in kicking up. And I'll do it a couple times just in learning how to kick up, but then I'll do it more repetitively. So when I come down, one of the biggest keys in learning to kick up or getting to kick up is having your shoulder over your hand, over your wrist. So if your shoulder's too far forward, you'll fall out. If your shoulder's back behind the wrist, you won't be able to come up. So you got to kind of be right in the middle. So when I'm here, right, I'm just protracting the shoulders, keeping the ribs in. And then I'm gonna bring the weight forward, right, and swing the right leg up just a few times. Just practice bringing it up, and you could come down and just getting used to it. I think is a big part of it. And we're gonna go to the left side. So when I'm here, I'm rounding through the shoulders. So you could do it in plank, right? And then as I'm here, I'm gonna lift up. Swinging, and then down. So like I said, I'm just doing that so you get more familiar, but I'm going to do it more repetitively as far as lifting and lowering. And it could be the same leg, say you're really new to this. just use the same leg for a period of time, then bring it down, and then go to the other side if you have the endurance to do that. But remember, you want to keep the arms straight, locked out, if you will, but not hyperextended. But I'm coming back into this plank position, but just get the shoulders to be good in terms of spreading them out. It's a big part of it. Just for a moment, elevate the shoulders up towards the ears. Again, all these things really make a big difference. So when I'm here, I'm making the front of my body small and strong. I'm going to swing my right leg up and bring it down. I'm going to bring it up and try to switch as I come up. So I'm going up and back down. If you can coordinate that, it just adds a little bit of coordination to it. It's a little bit more difficult, but I'm just kind of getting ahead of myself as far as I just don't want to have something too strong or too difficult for people. Let's just practice kicking up, but maybe holding it for a few seconds. So I'm going to just hold it for, say, 5-10 seconds on each side. So if you can't kick up and hold it, when you get up and you start to learn how to balance, stay relaxed, don't freak out, because there's a potential of falling, right? But when I'm a thing to look at is when you're kicking up, try not to look too far forward. Look more to the front of your hand or the heel of your hand, then you won't be as overextended. So I'm going to come up into this, protracted position and then swinging my right leg up. And then coming down, right? So just getting a little bit of a taste, I think, is a great start. It's a bit of a milestone. And then as you get more consistency, right, you can build up more time. So just come into a squat, open and close the hands, right? Create some flexion in the fingers, extension in the fingers. Bring the left hand beside you, sit back down, have the right knee on the inside of the left foot. Just bring yourself forward over your left leg. Again, just to give you some variety in between the positions. But when you're really focusing on a handstand, like a handstand practice, I think it's better just to really tune into that, right? So the legs are up. I'm going to go to my right side, coming up over my right leg. Just for a few breaths, coming forward. And bringing myself up. I'm going to use my right hand to come back up into a squat. And bring my knees forward and down, taking them up, bringing them forward, taking them up, right. And then coming down. I'm going to do another set of the handstand, so I'm going to try to hold it. Again, kick up against the wall if that's what you need to do. Do a plank, so you're just not up for that, just do a plank. So as I'm here, again, I'm protracting through the shoulders. I'm a bit, I'm hollowed here. And then as I'm in a hollow position, I'm trying to, get the connection in the hands, the fingers. So if you don't have the connection, it plays into, why some people can balance and why some people cannot, right? So round, get into this good position here, and then swinging your left leg up. And it might take, more than 1 or 2 tries to bring yourself up. And then back into a squat. So just come down onto the hands and knees. As you come down on the hands and knees, sit back on the feet. Just take the left arm forward, make a fist, and just pull back on the fist towards the chest, towards the torso. something really easy, but we'll do others in terms of expressing the hands, the wrist. Then taking the right arm forward, you can pull the right hand back. So exposing the forearm. Bring the hands down. I'm going to turn the hands in a little bit. So the hands turn in a little bit. I'm just going to rock back just into the hands. Just moving it forward. Bringing it back in space. Bringing it forward and then turning the hands all the way back. Right? Just some hand care, some finger care. And I'm coming back. I'm going to come back into the squat so my toes are tucked. I'm rolling back over my feet. And I'm going to sit back down. I'm going to sit into a cross-legged position. So just take your right hand to the right side, reach your left hand to the left. For a moment, just come down to the elbow on the right side. You can elevate it up. You can bring it down. Taking it back up. One more time down. And then back up. You can recross the legs. Take the left hand to the left. Reach the right hand to the right. Let the head drop to the left shoulder. So with handstands, obviously you can get really tense and tight through the shoulders and through the neck. So this is something that you can use in terms of helping to balance it out. Right? There's other ways, but I always think of like static, more relaxed holds are way more easy and relatable for people like just starting. I think these are really, just passive kind of hanging holds are really good. You could lift the elbow. I could drop the elbow and then bringing yourself up. All right, so I hope you feel great from the class. I hope it's helping to build up better, stronger, healthier practice. Really, that's why I'm using this, is so that you're getting, good practice in and that you're building it to wherever you want to build it to. So you could always leave a comment, you could share, you could like, you could subscribe, and you'll be notified if you're a subscriber as far as when I'm uploading more videos. You can take notes on any of these videos. That's what I would do. Write about the experience. Understand that some videos are going to be more applicable than others. So you could, have them as far as like a playlist, and then you can use them as you need to. All right. So have a wonderful weekend. I have a class tomorrow morning. It's a little bit more basic in nature. It's a good class as well. It's a 30-minute class. It's 9 a.m. Eastern. And then I have a 9:30 Eastern class on Sunday, and that's through Zoom. So you go to my website, you register for that class. All right, I hope you're well, stay well, and hopefully I'll have you in class soon.